Hi guys, this is Omer from MMOs.com, and I'm doing another quick weekly news recap of all major MMO news and announcements for the week ending August 22nd, 2016. This is episode number 57 of the recap, and the first bit of news this week comes from Kakao Games regarding Black Desert Online's upcoming Awakenings. The drama train continues, and Kakao announced that Black Desert will be releasing class Awakenings one by one, with the Warrior Awakening launching on August 31st. This is actually quite remarkable, as Kakao said in the past that all of the Awakenings will be released at the same time for the Western version of the game, which is why they are presumably delayed so long. The Warrior Awakenings give Warriors a greatsword and will coincide with the release of Valencia Part 2. Future Awakenings will be released either weekly or bi-weekly going forward. Needless to say, players aren't too happy about this move, as it's a complete 180 from Kakao's previous statements that they would launch all at once. And it looks like the drama train continues for Black Desert Online, and we'll be talking about this more in tomorrow's podcast. Up next, in some more lighthearted news, Age of Wushu 2's starting region has been revealed. Age of Wushu 2 is an upcoming sequel to Age of Wushu. There's no gameplay trailer to show just yet for it. However, we did learn some interesting information about the game, namely that the game's starter region will take 2 hours to circle. It's a small bit of news, but I thought it was interesting because it kind of shows you the depth of the game. They're trying to make a game that's large and seamless. So this entire zone in the beginning area will take a full 2 hours on foot to travel all around. It's bringing back the word massively back into MMORPGs. We've seen a lot of games go for the smaller, contained areas, games like Blade and Soul, games like Echo of Soul. A lot of games have that smaller, confined areas, so Age of Wushu 2 will be aiming for something a little bit different. The game is aiming for a 2017 release in China, with no word on an English release just yet, but I think it'll come out in the West if it does well in China. But that's all we got about Age of Wushu for now. Moving right along, we have some news about Lost Ark. The game released an 8-minute beautiful trailer, which you should definitely check out, and you're seeing in the background right now. If you have any interest in Lost Ark, check it out. They also released some information about the game's upcoming closed beta. They'll be having a closed beta test at the end of the month, as well as 3 total closed beta events before a final test and then an official launch. The level cap at closed beta will be 30, with 4 types of quests and 3 Ark Dungeons, 7 raids, and a bunch of other hidden quests and other goodies too. Chaos Gates in the game will support up to 30 players, and there'll even be musical instruments that can be played in the game, which seems a lot like Mabinogi, where you can make your own music. That's a nice, nifty little feature. I feel like it helps round out the MMO world. But if you have any interest in the game, definitely check out the trailer. It's quite awesome. The game will probably be launching sometime in 2017 in the West, if I had to guess. But we'll have to wait for an official announcement before we get too excited though. And don't forget, this game is being brought to you by Smilegate, the same company that makes Crossfire. And that's important because Smilegate makes a lot of money from Crossfire. It's actually one of the highest grossing PC games in the world. In fact, last year, after League of Legends, it was the second highest grossing PC game in 2015. It made over $1 billion. So they got the money to make an awesome game. And Lost Ark could be it. Next up, a big update from IMC Games regarding Tree of Savior. They're releasing the long-awaited Rank 8 update, which is set to launch sometime next month, and it'll introduce 24 new classes, 8 of which are entirely new classes with wholly original concepts. The game is also increasing the level cap to 330 for both player characters and companions, and lastly, introducing 30 new areas with new themes and environments, as well as 3 new field bosses to the game. Keep in mind, despite its disastrous launch, the game is still on decline from its huge launch. However, it's still averaging about 7,000 concurrent users on Steam at any given time, which is still quite impressive. Moving right along, we have an update for an oldie, yet a goodie. Website announced that Fly for Fun, or just Flyff, received a new expansion called Turning Point Part 1. The expansion raised the game's level cap to 155, adds a new dungeon called Rissy's Trail, and introduces a reworked card upgrade system. Alongside with the release of this latest expansion, a permanent cash shop-wide price reduction has been applied to the game's North American cash shop, bringing prices in line with the game's European cash shop, which is something players have been asking for a while. And along with the update, there's a whole slew of events happening, so if you're looking for a reason to go back to Flyff, this might be it, though it's still an oldie, so it's hard to recommend to new players. I remember I had a lot of fun with this one, but still, it's an oldie, so for that reason, it's kind of hard to recommend, but it's cool to see that it's still getting updates. And moving right along, Trove is introducing a new class called the Dino Tamer alongside a prehistoric update, which will be adding 2 new biomes to the game, the Jurassic Jungle and the Saurian Swamp. And despite the name, unfortunately, you cannot actually tame dinosaurs. If you haven't played Trove yet, I still say it's worth checking out, as it's a cool mix from the Minecraft style crafting with actual MMORPG elements. Plus, more importantly, the game still remains relevant with an average concurrent player base of about 6,000 players over the last 30 days, which is still quite good, and that's on Steam alone. No word though on when this update is set to launch, so you'll have to wait a bit for that. Up next, Warhammer 40k Eternal Crusade is set to launch on PC on September 23rd. The game is being published by Bandai Namco and has been out for some time in early access on Steam, but looks to be launching officially on the 23rd of September, with the console versions delayed and pushed back to we don't know when, just sometime after the PC version. The game has received mixed reviews on Steam, and it's supposed to be a PlanetSide 2 style Warhammer game with massively multiplayer elements. It is a buy-to-play title though, and I have yet to play the game myself, so I will make sure to do a first look on the 23rd when it launches. Moving right along, we have yet another action RPG which launched on Steam Early Access. This time it's called Redemption, and it's from Move Games. The game finally made the Steam Early Access after 2 years after it was first posted on Greenlight. The game is a character-based ARPG set in a steampunk world. The game features 6 characters, and you can kill hordes of enemies in traditional action RPG fashion. The original gameplay video for the game was first posted like over 2 years ago on Steam, so it's been in development for a while, or it's already been out in Asia. I'm not quite sure, but the game is finally available here in the West, but it will cost that old 15 buccarinos. As is though, the game looks quite dead, as it's averaging about 3 players online at a given time, which is not good for an MMO. But we'll see how it does later, as it's still in early access. I have a feeling it's not gonna be able to compete with a game like Path of Exile, but that's just my opinion. But then again, I don't think any action RPG can compete against Path of Exile. Up next, we have yet another game that launched into early access this last week, and this time it's called Spellgear. It's a non-targeting open-world MMORPG that features dungeons as well as MOBA-esque arenas with equalized gear, which sounds cool in theory, but I'm curious to see how it's going to work in practice, because a lot of MOBA players don't want the MMORPG elements, but we'll see how it all works out. The game also features Capture the Flag, Domination, and Traditional Team Deathmatch. It is a buy-to-play MMORPG though, so if you want to check out Spellgear, it'll cost you about 20 bucks on Steam. Since the game's early access launch, it's really only been averaging about like 5 players or 2 players on any given time, which is unfortunate because you can't have that MOBA-esque gameplay in an open-world MMORPG without more players, which is why I'm curious why they went with the buy-to-play model rather than a free-to-play one, but we'll see how it develops. Moving right along, Echo of Soul Wrath of the Goddess update episode 2.5 is now officially live. The update introduces a new 50-room dungeon called Doomspire Keep that pits players against ever-increasing challenges, as well as 3 new dungeons, a new PvP season, and a new event called the Moon Festival. Numerous other changes are also included, so check out the full changelog on Area Games' website if you're still playing Echo of Soul. Namely, one of the other updates is a new profession called Virtuoso. The game is still averaging about 155 players on Steam, but I'm pretty sure it's doing better on the Area launcher, so it's still doing alright. And moving right along, Epic Games' over-the-shoulder third-person MOBA Paragon has entered open beta and can be downloaded and played free of charge on both PC as well as PS4. The game launches with 20 heroes and will be adding new heroes every 3 weeks or so. One awesome aspect of Paragon worth mentioning is that all of the game's heroes are available for free, so they're not going with the League of Legends style monetization, and they're aiming a bit more towards the Dota style monetization where everything's available right away, which is awesome. Given that it's a MOBA though, I suspect it's going to have issues competing with both League and Dota as well as HOTS because these games are so established already. But we'll see how Paragon does, as it does look at least a bit different. The next and last bit of news this week is that Mad Finger Games announced that it's creating a new mobile MMOFPS game called Shadowgun Legends, which is based in the same universe as their previous Shadowgun game. The studio behind the game promises a complete and feature-packed persistent online universe shooter that enjoys the progression and depth of a AAA console title in the palm of your hand. I hate the term AAA, but we'll see how Shadowgun Legends does. I mean, the trailer in the background looks kind of cool, but unfortunately it shows off no actual gameplay. Madfinger's previous game though, Shadowgun, featured pretty decently solid graphics for a mobile FPS game, so they're going to take the knowledge that they learned from that game to make a persistent world MMO FPS. Given that it was just announced, there is no release date just yet. But anyway guys, that's it for MMO news this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Later guys.